Hey everybody, how are you doing today? It's Makeda Valletta. I am live on my YouTube page. Haven't been live on here in a while. The Body Scientist 81. And I'm also recording this in another camera so I can post it on to my Instagram because when I do lives on YouTube, I can never download it and upload it onto Instagram. And I have a block on my Instagram page right now. Ask me why, I don't know. They're always blocking me and deleting my stuff, so make sure you follow me everywhere. If you're on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, and if you're on Instagram, follow me on YouTube. In case you don't know me, I'm Makeda Valletta, and I am an exercise physiologist, a nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist who has a serious, who's rooted in traditional foods. Um, I'm also a dancer, former athlete. I have a degree in exercise and sports science and nutrition science, and I'm currently working on a Master of Science in Medical Cannabis Science. And I have committed myself. I'm also a doula and a sacred sexual educator as well. Okay, so and that also includes our sexuality as well, right, and our sexual energy. And I think I said I'm a dancer. I think that I said that. Yeah. So that's who I am in case you don't know. So I am live from the Dominican Republic. I'm currently in Las Tarenas, which is in Samana. And I'm sorry if I keep looking around. I don't know where to look, which camera to look at. And I'm also trying to look at the screen for my YouTube live people commenting. Um, yeah, so I'm in Las Tarenas in Samana, Dominican Republic, and before that I was in Santo Domingo, and for a couple of days. And everywhere I go, I'm always analyzing uh, the access that people have to a healthy, active lifestyle. When I travel, I don't stay at resorts. Like I did not stay at a resort in Dominican Republic. Right now, I'm at an Airbnb. If you want to see more about that, you can follow my travel page. I have a page, Makeda Valletta Travels, and on that page, I talk about those things and get into how I'm traveling and why I'm traveling. There's numerous reasons. But no matter where I go, I'm always looking at people's access to a healthy, active lifestyle. And I'm doing it because I'm curious. um, but I'm also doing it because when I travel, I need those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just eat anything. Eating crappy food and chemical food and ultra processed food makes me sick, and I don't do it. So um, or what I'm putting on my skin. Why I travel with my own soap because I'm not going. There's a lot of different things. And so I'm always looking at people's access, even when I'm in the states. Okay, when I'm in different states, different cities, same thing, right? I'm always analyzing that, so I talk about that a lot. Um, Somebody asks, "Is the Dominican Republic safe?" I feel extremely safe here. Okay, there's not one moment, all right, that I have ever felt unsafe here. From the time that I got off the plane and went through TSA, I mean, not TSA, customs, and got in the taxi. Okay, from that moment until this very moment right now, I have never felt unsafe here. Okay, so I'm just going to say that. But that's the same way it is in my neighborhood in New York. I am from the border of Washington Heights and Harlem. Okay, Washington Heights is called Little Dominican Republic. If you look on a map, that's what it says. And whereas I'm from where Harlem ends and Washington Heights begins. Okay, and so I grew up around a lot of Dominicans, and in Harlem and the Heights, it's supposed to be dangerous. I never felt in danger there. Now, I'm not going to say stuff doesn't happen, but I've never felt unsafe there either in my own neighborhood. All right. So, okay. So, with that being said, there's a bunch of things that I want to go through, and this is not a complete list because, I'm just talking about my observations, the things that I know thus far, and the things that I've seen. So if anybody is well versed on these things that I'm speaking about in the Dominican Republic and you want to add to it, or let me know, because I definitely the Dominican Republic is definitely a country that I want to explore more, and I will be exploring more. And for a long time, I was against coming here, and I'm not going to get into that on this page. I will speak about that more on my other page, the Renaissance Amazon, which is my page. Is more centered around my artistic and social activism side, and also my other page, Makeda Valletta Travels. Makeda Valletta Travels is where I'm talking about my travels and certain things. So in those two pages, you can look for me to get into that. On this video, I'm really going to get into health, um, access to a healthy, active lifestyle. Access to a healthy, active lifestyle. Okay. And those of you who follow my work, you know that I'm a believer in traditional foods. If you haven't seen my um, YouTube video on why I believe in traditional foods, definitely take a look at it, okay? Because it's really important. I believe in sustainable agriculture. Um, I believe in sustainable agriculture, getting things from local farmers, eating, foods that kept the foods that people, the foods that people that have, have kept people healthy for generations. Okay, where you see people who lived to 95 plus 100 for generations. What did those people eat? Okay, the ones who were giving birth to 13 kids like it was nothing. What did they eat? Generation after generation. Okay, um, and the Western science backs it up. It's just that when you go to school for nutrition, they indoctrinate you. Okay, and the graduate program I was in, my first graduate program at Columbia University, it was a massive science program in applied physiology and nutrition. They were the only program in the country that did not take money from the food industry. All nutrition programs in this country are funded by the food companies, the same way all the medical programs and the pharmaceutical programs are funded by the drug companies, okay? And they are the same people, all right? So understand that I have this background in this nutritional science, but I'm not indoctrinated like most nutritionists. So a lot of things that you hear me say is not what you hear a lot of registered dietitians. I mean, there are some that understand, but far and few between, okay? Same thing with doctors, okay? Now, when I'm talking about, um, I'm sorry. So when I'm talking about health, right? Like a lot of, when I was even doing a search on YouTube for videos that people had done on health in the Dominican Republic, because there's certain things that when I travel, I observe. Okay, like I look at the condition of the people. Okay, like here, people are very well built. Okay, same thing when I went to Haiti back in 2010. When I went to Haiti in 2010, I had so many well formed, strong people. Okay, the kids to the old people. All right, um, and definitely here too. I think, and so to me, I'm like, okay, if people are looking like they reached, if people look like they're reaching their genetic potential and their physical peak, like I don't see a lot of people with glasses. Okay, I wear glasses. Okay, that's not. There's more and more people that have bad eyesight, more than we know, because a lot of people who have bad eyesight are getting surgery, or they're wearing contacts. You know, and I stopped wearing contacts years ago because I started thinking I don't like putting these chemicals in my eye all the time and putting this thing on my eyeball, and something about it just wasn't right to me, and I'm like, this can't be good. And I hate wearing glasses, but I also hated wearing contacts. And I just saw an article recently that the chemicals in contacts actually cause some type of cancer or something, which I knew over a decade ago. Because I didn't need to study, I just knew it. It's common sense, right? It causes something. Maybe I'll do a video about it, but it's just not good. Anyhow, um, yeah, so most people, they're just, when they talk about health in a certain country, they're just talking about the healthcare system. They're just talking about what happens when you get sick, somebody gets sick or has a medical emergency and they have to go to the hospital. What happens? How much is it going to cost for you to get your care? And that's basically what people focus on. For me, when I talk about health, okay, if you look at all my videos about health, I'm never talking about how good your care is at the hospital, okay? I'm talking about how not to get into the hospital. Now, it's one thing if you're in the hospital, God forbid, because of a freak accident. You got in a car accident or you got attacked. That's one thing. But if you're in the hospital because of a health condition that didn't need to be, okay, then to me, true health care is not being in the hospital or in a nursing home because you have all these freaking problems, okay? So that's why I'm looking at access um, to the active lifestyle. Hold on a second. I'm looking at my comments. Ellen, your grandfather lived to 98 years old with his right mind, teeth, and walking and talking. He passed last Monday, right before his 99th birthday. Wow, that's what's up, Ellen. And you're Haitian, aren't you? If I remember correctly. Um, and I'm sure he ate a lot of pork, right? I'm sure he ate a lot of pork. Yep, Haitian. Yep. Uh huh. Um, let me tell you, when I went to Haiti in 2010. It was sorry about the dogs. Um, I went to Haiti in 2010, and it was right after the earthquake. Okay, um, and I remember. No, those are not my dogs. I'm in Dominican Republic. Those, you know how Latin America they got stray dogs everywhere. So I don't know. And here there's a lot of stray cats too, which I feel like is so cute because I love cats. The dogs, I'm like, just don't come near me. Like they just be wanting to. Certain people of a certain complexion will pet the strays. I'm like, how are you petting stray dogs, especially when you're eating? I'm like, no, don't even brush up on me. That's how I feel, because you get inoculated with whatever's on that dog. But anyhow, thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Um, so, oh yes, okay. So Haiti, right? And I went there in 2010. At that time in my life, maybe for a few years, I wasn't eating pork, right? I grew up eating pork. I grew up eating shellfish. My family's from Florida, in Pennsylvania, and Florida. Okay. Um, but I don't know if it was like 2004, 2005. I read this book by a man named Jordan S. Rubin called The Maker's Diet. He's a Jewish naturopathic doctor and nutritionist, I think. And he almost died from Crohn's disease. And I learned a lot from him because I think both of his parents were like holistic doctors, and they sent him all over the place trying to figure out a cure for Crohn's disease, which is a really miserable autoimmune disease. And I read his stuff back in 2003, 2004, 2005, something like that. And I learned about, I always knew about microbiomes. Those of you who follow me, you see that I talk about that all the time. But he talked about homeostatic soil organisms, which are a very important organism that should be in the soil. We should get inoculated with this organism when we are when we're playing in the dirt. Okay, when we're gardening, eating fruits and vegetables, we should be getting inoculated with homeostatic soil organisms. These microorganisms produce hydrogen peroxide. Okay, and hydrogen peroxide kills basically every virus and bacteria that exists because it's full of oxygen, H2O2, and it's known that oxygen kills those things. It makes a hostile environment for infectious disease. Okay, so when you have a lot of homeostatic soil organisms in your gut, on your skin, if you get exposed to an infectious disease, because we can never control what we get exposed to. Anybody can cough in your face. Any of the food that you eat could be contaminated. You know what I'm saying? It's microorganisms. You can't see it. Okay? Unless you want to walk around in a plastic bubble your whole life because you're afraid of you can get exposed to infectious diseases and microorganisms at any moment, from the water you drink, from the food that you eat, from the air that you breathe. Okay. And you're not going to find out. We don't find out about an outbreak until after people have died. Okay. So again, prevention is what I'm talking about with health. First and foremost, building a strong foundation. So if you have a lot of good bacteria, hydrogen peroxide producing bacteria in your gut, on your skin, if you get exposed to an infectious organism, it can't survive in your ecosystem. We have our own ecosystems. I'm not going to get super in depth about this now because I have other videos where I talk about that, and I'll post it below on my YouTube. Some of you who've been following me for a long time know about this. But anyhow, this man, Jordan S. Rubin, I really respected him. And I never use religion to dictate what I'm eating. So I know Muslims didn't eat pork, and but that's religious. Like there's a difference between, some people do have religious taboos, right? People in the Yoruba and Ifa faith, there's certain foods they can't eat. It's not because that food is bad for everybody. It just is not good for them and what's going on with them and their spiritual thing, right? But you still can get those nutrients another way. Like if you don't eat pork, pork is very high in vitamin A, very high in vitamin D, high in oleic acid, which is and other fats that are very antimicrobial. Oleic acid is very good for your heart. Oleic acid is the main fatty acid that's in olive oil, okay? Very much so in lard. And so, but if somebody didn't eat pork, you can also get that vitamin D and vitamin A if you eat liver. You can get it if you eat fish eggs. You can eat it if you get it if you consume a lot of grass-fed butter and grass-fed dairy. So there's other ways to get vitamins A and D if you don't eat pork, right? But for someone to say I'm not eating any animal foods, then you have a problem. Okay, so anyhow, I had stopped eating pork for a few years because he was saying what he was saying and about that and shellfish that made sense to me a little bit at the moment because he did give a scientific reason. But I remember going to Haiti in 2010 and it was right after the earthquake. And we had to eat whatever people gave us, which is also like the case a lot of times in certain countries. Okay, it's not like in the US. Like even with me, like I had to, calm myself down a couple hours ago because I was a little frustrated because I couldn't get what I wanted. Okay, like there are certain, like when you travel and you're in another country, especially on a small island, and even though Haiti and Dominican Republic are, they're in the same island and they're bigger than most islands in the Caribbean, it's still small. Like there's whole states in the U.S. that's bigger than it, right? So you're going to be limited, okay, and it can just be frustrating. So I forgot what my point was. Oh yes, when I was in Haiti, and this is back in 2010. Okay, so first of all, the first thing I remember seeing was I saw such strong little kids and old people. I saw old women in Haiti walking up mountains. Okay, with like a freaking big ass suitcase in their head. They weren't even holding on to it. And I remember me and all the women that were on that trip, because I went on that trip with my Haitian dance teacher. I've been studying Haitian folkloric dance and drumming since 2006. And I really need to get back to it because ever since 2020, 2021, I kind of fell off. Okay. Um, but I went there for that reason. And the trip was planned before the earthquake. But I'm not going to go off on that tangent. So, anyhow, I remember I had never seen people like everybody looked so strong and well put together. And I noticed that in New York when I would perform for a lot of Haitian events. Like, I always felt like that. Haitian people are really beautiful. Like, the bone structure, the body structure. There's really that was something I always noticed because I didn't grow up around Haitians. I actually grew up around Dominicans. I grew up around Dominicans. I had some Jamaican friends, definitely New Rican and Puerto Rican friends, Jewish friends, but there were no Haitians in my part of New York or in my area. It wasn't until I grew up that I started meeting a lot of Haitians, and I love Haitians to death, and I know tons of Haitians now. But like back then, I remember that staying in my mind. So then when I went to Haiti in 2010, um, when I went to Haiti in 2010, I just noticed that, and the earthquake had just happened, and there was not a defeated spirit in Haiti. Okay, like there was not a defeated spirit. It was just positive energy, a beautiful energy from the time we stepped off the plane. Okay, and um, I do remember though. Okay, and this is the thing that I want to talk about with all the countries in the Caribbean and South America. Okay, because everywhere I go in the Caribbean and South America and Central America, this rings true. What I'm about to say, to different degrees. Okay, so I do remember. Okay, I had never seen so much Wonder Bread in my life. Okay, it was everywhere. Um, and of course, this is after earthquakes, so people are given rations, and you never want to be in this situation. You never. Sometimes we can't help what happens to us, but to your best ability, you don't want to be in a situation where you're dependent on rations because, or give handouts from or donations or whatever. Because what they donate to people is the worst. Okay, a whole bunch of ultra processed stuff, a bunch of canned stuff, a bunch of stuff with a bunch of chemicals, and someone can say, "Oh, the person's hungry, and they're starving and they're broke. Anything will do." But you really don't ever want to eat that. It's just not good. It's not good. You want to eat real food, okay, and have access to real food. Period. Point blank. All that packaged, processed chemical stuff is a plan to poison you. Okay, I'm not even going to talk too much about that because my stuff is always getting blocked. So let me just leave that at that. All right, just use your critical thinking skills. Now, I also remember in Haiti that there was so much soda and it was hot as hell. And I don't even drink soda. And I'm not even like I'm also not a big juice drinker unless I'm hot. Like when I'm in a hot, humid place, I'm constantly drinking juice. But if I'm not like hot in a hot and humid place or I'm not in the gym working out, I don't really drink juice. Like I don't drink. I don't even be thinking about that. And but I remember that we were going all through Haiti, and everywhere we stopped, there was a bunch of people trying to sell us soda. And I didn't see coconut. I'm like, I want soda and beer. And I'm like, I just want some coconut water. Like, I just want some. I'm so dehydrated that it's too hot. The last thing I could think about looking at is soda or beer. And nobody had juice or coconut water. I remember that too when I was in Kingston, but that was like 2006. It could be different now. I remember there was the same thing. I saw more people drinking pineapple soda than I saw them drinking pineapple juice. All right. Okay. So, but I do remember in that trip, I started to think critically about pork because Haitians eat a lot of pork, and we were being given pork every day. And the people who were on the trip who were vegans, okay, a few white girls who were vegans, they were eating, and maybe there was a couple of black girls in there too. They were eating like bread all the time, like I don't know, bread and pickles. I don't know what they were eating, and it's like, dude, that's an eating disorder. Are you serious? Do you see how strong and amazing all the people are around us? And they eat tons of pork. But you think you're so convinced that it's so bad that you're going to sit and eat bread and freaking cabbage all week. Okay, so when I started to think about that in Haiti, I started to think all the people in my family who lived to be close to 100, okay, in the 100-year range, they all ate lots of pork. And people been eating pork. Like if you look at Cuba, you can't even eat in Cuba if you don't eat pork. Like they don't even really eat seafood like that. They make that for tourists. It seems like to me, they love pork. Okay, all the Spanish-speaking countries love some ham, love some pork. Okay, I don't care if it's Colombia. I don't care if it's Mexico. Go to Spain. All they do is eat pork in Spain. Okay, okay. Now the a lot of the Koreans, the Japanese, pork. The Japanese ramen places, pork broth, pork, 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 and more pork. The Italians eat a lot of pork. People talk about the Mediterranean diet. Lard is the main fat in the Mediterranean diet, not olive oil that people keep talking about, which again, remember what I told you olive oil and lard both are high in oleic acid. So they're actually pretty similar. Like, for example, most black Americans make their collard greens with some type of pork in it. Some might use turkey neck or whatever. I never made greens. My mom always does it. So, but a lot of Black Americans will put pork in it, bacon or I don't know, ham or whatever, some type of pork. My mom always made her greens with olive oil, and my mom's greens are really good, and everybody always loves her greens. Okay, they're amazing, but they don't taste really different to me than. Oops. Okay, they don't really taste that different to me from people who do use pork. But come to find out, olive oil and pork are both high in oleic acid, so they're similar, except that lard is very high in vitamins A and D, and olive oil is not. Okay, and then there's some different fatty acid differences as well. Also, the lard is going to have cholesterol, and the olive oil does not. And we do want cholesterol. Okay, we're not trying to avoid cholesterol because remember, all of your sex hormones are made from cholesterol. Your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone. Okay, your sex hormones and your stress hormones. Okay, so you end up with severe hormonal issues. Men can end up with erection issues, low testosterone, not enough cholesterol. Okay, vitamin D. You can almost assume that we're all vitamin D deficient, unless you're really going out your way and you're eating liver like twice a week, taking cod liver oil, eating lots of grass-fed butter and lots of fish eggs and pasture lard. Then you're probably vitamin D deficient. Okay, and um, yes, we can get vitamin D from the sun, but you still need a lot of cholesterol. Okay, for that to happen. because vitamin D is made from cholesterol. All right. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. I don't want to get too far off the topic. Sorry. So the pork. Okay. So the Polynesian islands. Basically, everybody except Muslim countries eat a lot of pork. Dominicans also very well built people. The men and the women. I love it because as a New Yorker, as somebody who likes to observe bodies and have something to look at that's stimulating, because I'm also an artist, and but not separate from being an artist. I feel like I need to drink something. Separate from being an artist, everybody likes to look at eye candy too, right? Well, there's a lot of that here, okay? And it's not just the woman. People talk about the woman all the time. Yes, there's a lot of beautiful women, a lot of beautiful men too, okay? So I'm just gonna say that. Uh, Very well built people in the Dominican Republic, okay? And I mean, I noticed that in my neighborhood growing up. They eat a lot of pork, okay? Yeah, they eat a lot of pork, okay? So let me just, and every time I see somebody who's the oldest person in the world, like there was a woman in Haiti who died. I don't know, it was a few months ago, and I don't know if they said she was the oldest woman in Haiti or she was the oldest woman on this hemisphere, but she was 100 and something. And I'm like, I know that woman ate a lot of pork. You see the oldest woman in America, like she'll be like in South Carolina, 100 and something. Somebody who's 100 and something and is from South Carolina, Georgia, anywhere down south, or in Haiti, or in Jamaica, or in Cuba, they were eating a lot of pork. Trust me, okay, trust me. Um, so it's time for people to use critical thinking skills. You know. Okay, so I was in Santo Domingo first, and Santo Domingo um, is a busy city. Okay, um, the air quality I don't feel like was the best. Um, it wasn't as bad as when I was in Senegal. When I was in Senegal, I could not. I felt. I mean, I couldn't. When I was in Senegal, my like throat and my lungs hurt from the dirt in the air. Okay, um, it was really bad in Senegal. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive to air. That's what one thing. It's raining here right now, and you can't see how it looks, and I can't flip the camera around because I'm on my laptop and um, I'm on my phone, and I can't flip it around. But if you look on my other page, Look at Ability Travels, you'll see all around me. Okay, it's very lush and it's raining. Okay, and it takes a lot of rain for it to have that lushness, right? But I can breathe here. When I was in Santo Domingo, I was blowing my nose all day, blowing my nose all day. Okay, so let me tell you something about mucus. And I wasn't like coughing up mucus. It wasn't like that. It was just like I just constantly. It wasn't like post nasal drip. It wasn't running down my face. It was just like I just kept having to blow my nose. And what that is, okay, your mucous membranes are part of your mucus is a part of your immune system. Okay, mucus is a part of. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Mucus is a part of our immune system, and mucus is eliminating something from our bodies. Okay, and the mucous membranes, vitamin A is responsible for that. Okay, we also have mucous membranes in the vagina. And so the vaginal mucus is also a part of our immune system. It's a part of keeping and if you're being your body creates mucus to get rid of it. Of mucus where they're like choking on it, that's not good. Your immune system going haywire, you have a serious problem. But somebody, having a normal amount of mucus, that's part of your immune system, and it's a good thing. Your immune system is working, right? So you won't get sick because your body's getting this out of you. Just like with sneezing and coughing. That's why we don't want to hold in sneezes and coughs because your body's trying to eliminate something, right? Okay, so when I was in Santo Domingo, I was constantly blowing my nose. But from the first time I walked in there, um, anyhow, um, When I first walked in the Airbnb, there was a strong smell of air freshener, right? And I cannot stand the um, artificial chemical scents of air freshener. It really makes me sick. Okay. And I need to be places where I can open the windows, which is one of the reasons why I absolutely despise hotels, especially hotels where I can't open the window. Like now, there are some hotels where you can open the window, but a lot of hotels you can open the window, and I can't stand that. You know what I'm saying? I need fresh air. I need circulation of air. I hate being closed up with no circulation of air. And then you have every chemical that somebody has sprayed. Okay, the cleaning chemicals, people's perfume that they spray in, people's hairspray, every cough, every sneeze, every fart that somebody made is still in that room. I can't. Same thing with the hospital. That's gross. Hospitals and gyms need to. Hospitals, gyms, and hotels need to open their damn windows. Okay, that's just nasty. So I like to be places where there's like a lot of fresh air. So here, I haven't blown my nose at all, not once, because there's not all these artificial chemicals that I'm closed up in. As soon as I got in my Airbnb and something, I'm gonna go open the windows. Okay. Um, and I kept it open. I kept everything open the whole time. I'm like, I don't that air freshener, and it was like that in Senegal too. The Airbnb I stayed at, there was constant air pressure, and I don't know where it was coming from, but it was constant. It was making me so sick. And when I was in Santo Domingo, I remember I went to the bathroom in my Airbnb to get toilet paper to blow my nose, and the toilet paper had chemicals like scents on it. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't stand all those chemical scents. I'll lay in somebody's bed, okay? I've laid people's bed before, and I could tell that whatever they washed their sheets with was, I don't know if they were using dryer sheets or some shit with some heavy scents. That stuff makes me sick. It just smells like artificial chemicals to me. It does not smell good. Like, I don't know how that smells good to people. Like, air fresh, all that stuff. I'll go to somebody's house. I'll go to a dude's house. He'll invite me over. I walk in, and the windows are closed, and he got the damn plugins. I'm like, oh my God, no. I can't do it. I don't understand how people don't notice that. But let me tell you, they're highly carcinogenic. If you're driving around in your car with those artificial freshener trees hanging from you're breathing in cancer causing chemicals all day, greatly increasing your chances of getting cancer. Okay. So yeah, so that was over there. Open everything, but like Santo Domingo's really dirty, and the air. See, people talk about New York, but New York has way more trees, and it depends on where you are in New York too. But generally speaking, as a city, there's way more trees. Um, but like some of these Spanish speaking countries don't have areas where like the sidewalk is this narrow, okay, and it's like narrow little streets, and the worst car exhaust or whatever coming out the back of the cars, and then it's hot on top of that. So to me, hot and humid and dirty is just a bad mix, and in dirty air, it's a bad mix, and so there's a lot of that. Um, Yeah, I know why hotels and windows stop with the balconies, and I know because they didn't want balconies and windows because they want people jumping out. I know, but that's why I don't stay at hotels. That's why I'm at an Airbnb with a big ass balcony. And even inside my Airbnb, there's no air conditioner. There's a ceiling fan. If you look at my other video, I showed it, but the ceiling fans in there. There's no air conditioning, which all the windows are automatically open with the screen. I like that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I can't stand that artificial air and artificial heat. That shit makes me, the artificial heat that they have in the, when I'm in a hotel room, I feel like I'm drying out. Then they have the carpets. Oh my God, those carpets gross me the fuck out. Carpets also hold a lot of toxic. So that's why as soon as I walk into a hotel, I cannot breathe. It's the carpet, it's the no fresh air, every single cough, sneeze, fart, chemical, hairspray, whatever the mother people cleaning chemicals, just staying in the god. No, I can't. I can't breathe as soon as I walk in the lobby. So if I must stay at a hotel, I like ones that don't have a carpet, which is hard. Ones that have a balcony, which can be hard. At the very least, I need to open a window. Okay. So talking about cleaning chemicals. Hold on. My other camera is about to die. So hold on. Hold on to the people on YouTube. I'm recording this on my other camera so I can repost it on Instagram. That camera is dying, so hold on. Hold on. See, I need to put it. Hold on. I'm trying to plug it up. Give me a second. See, I need camera people. You guys know I don't edit, so I don't have time for that. Um, Spanish speaking people, maybe I can, no, it needs to be. Spanish countries, it might be true in French countries too. I don't know. I just be in Spanish countries a lot. Only French speaking countries I've been to is Paris, Haiti, and St. Martin. But I've been to a lot of Spanish speaking countries. But anyhow, Spanish speaking countries, they clean with really harsh chemicals like fabuloso. Okay, that shit is poison. As soon as I walk into a place where someone's cleaning with that, like earlier today, I was trying to find some tea and nobody had tea. They only had coffee because Spanish people all they care about is coffee. I'm a tea drinker, but I like my matcha latte in the morning or my yerba mate mixed with chai. But it's almost impossible to find in Latin America. So I walked into this one place and I really don't want coffee, but I am addicted to caffeine. I need caffeine every morning. That's the first thing I do before I do anything. And I can't do that here because, well, I can't do that here because now I'm in Samana, Las Tarenas, where there is no Uber Eats, and I have to walk down 1,000 stairs in a mountain into town to even get anything. Whereas in Santo Domingo, I could order when I got up in the morning. I could order my matcha from Starbucks. They have Starbucks, which is the only reason why I like Starbucks is because they have matcha. When most people don't have matcha, and they had Starbucks in Santo Domingo, so I could get my matcha. But over here they don't. So that means if I'm in a Latin American country where there's no Starbucks, usually it's hard to find matcha. Most people don't have matcha. Um, you love Santo Domingo? Yeah, Santo Domingo is cool. I like Dominican Republic. I'm gonna come back. I want to see more parts of it. Um, but yeah, Latin American countries, Colombia, Mexico, don't matter. If they have a Starbucks, I'm like, okay, then I can get my matcha. If they don't, there are places in Mexico City I saw that had matcha, but most people don't have matcha. Even in America, most coffee shops don't have it, and when they do, 80% of them don't have good matcha. Okay, because not all matcha is good matcha. A lot of people are serving bad matcha that's like bitter and gross. So Starbucks is the one place I know that has decent matcha, and it's. But other than that, you can't really find it in Latin America because they don't do tea. They are coffee drinkers, and I really don't want to drink coffee. But anyhow, so that's another thing about access. Okay, that's another thing about access. In the United States, it's like if you want tea, you can find tea, and if you want coffee, you can get coffee. But and when I spend a lot of time in Latin America. Um, I've been in Mexico, various parts of Mexico, various parts of Colombia, various parts of Costa Rica, um, couple parts, no, one place in Spain, just Madrid. Where else? I've been to Puerto Rico. I've been to Cuba a couple times. I've been to Cuba 5 times, but two different parts of Cuba. Where else? Ecuador, Dominican Republic. I don't know if there's another Spanish speaking country, but yeah, they don't do tea. Okay, so I like the fact that in America I can find both of those things. Also, those of you who know me know I'm a big ice cream person. And ice cream can be a health food, and everybody loves ice cream. Ice cream actually is a health food if it's made from its natural ingredients. Which is just milk. Ice cream should have milk, cream, egg yolks, sugar, maybe salt, and strawberries. Okay, and different recipes have different percentages of um, how much fat, how much cream or how much. Sorry, different people have different percentages, but that's what ice cream should have. Not guar gum and xanthan gum and carrageenan and diglycerides and this syrup and tapioca starch and all of that. I think I'm gonna stop my other camera that I'm doing for Instagram. This I probably can't even post this full video on Instagram, but if I can, and you're watching this on Instagram, come to my YouTube and watch the rest of it. The Body Scientist 81. Okay, I had to turn the other camera off. Um, Hold on. Okay, this camera's about to die. Um, yeah, and I travel all around the U.S. and I can always find matcha, for the most part. Okay, there was one time I was with some friends in the country in Maryland, close to West Virginia, and nobody had. There was no Starbucks for like 20 miles, and nobody had matcha. Um, but even then, a lot of times, like I carry my yerba mate with me, and I have my yerba mate now. It's a tea from South America that's caffeinated. So if they don't have matcha, I take my yerba mate and I mix it with a chai latte. But even a lot of Spanish speaking countries don't have chai latte. And when they do, like in Colombia and I think Mexico, they have Juan Valdez. We all know Juan Valdez coffee. Juan Valdez is like their Starbucks, right? And they do have matcha and chai on the menu. But the matcha and chai they have on the menu is so sugary, it's disgusting. It tastes like they put a whole pound of sugar in it. It's so sugary. People say Americans eat a lot of sugar. No, when you get matcha and chai in Spanish speaking countries, it is overly sweet, like disgusting. Okay, then we know Spanish speaking people love desserts. Okay, they love a lot of sweet desserts. Um, a lot of pastries. You always see a whole bunch of panaderias. Okay, in Spanish speaking countries, even though I didn't see a lot of that. I mean, yes, I did see bakeries. I mean, I've only been to Santo Domingo, into Las Arenas, and Samana, so I haven't been to other parts of the Dominican Republic. So I'm speaking for what I've seen, and I would like to explore the country more. But I didn't see as many panaderias here as I've seen in other Spanish speaking countries. But usually they have like, you know, every block is like some type of bakery. All these like super sweet sweets, you know. And so yeah, they are a sugar loving culture themselves. Okay, and Mexico, for example, drinks more soda. I don't know if they're like the number one soda drinking country in the world, but I see a lot of soda drinking when I'm in the Caribbean and I'm a Latin. Like last night, I was so hot. I was walking back, and I needed some juice. Okay, so there's corner stores here, like there's bodegas in New York. I'm from New York. I'm from a Dominican neighborhood in New York where there's tons of bodegas. And you know what? A lot of our bodegas, there's a lot of bodegas you could walk into where they got four different kinds of coconut water. Two of them will be raw coconut water. Maybe one of them will be Goya, which has chemicals in it. Do not drink Goya coconut water. Okay, you don't want coconut water that has metabisulfite in it. No, you want coconut water that just has coconut water. And the best tasting coconut water is the raw coconut water that's not pasteurized. Okay, because most people, when they say they don't like coconut water, it's because they're drinking like Vita Coco, pasteurized coconut water, which is nasty. All right. Um, but in New York, you could easily find that. They'll have watermelon. I can go to the around the corner from where my parents are, Seatown. It's a basic ass supermarket. And it's a supermarket I would never go food shopping at. Like I'll get my butter there, but it's some simply lemonade. But I would never buy my meat there, my produce there. It's a regular supermarket, and even they have. Damn, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Darn it. Oh yeah, even they have watermelon juice. Like they'll have like three, four different kinds of watermelon juice, different kinds of coconut water, different kinds of fresh lemonade, right? But when I've been in other cities, okay, this is in the United States and this is around the world. When I was in London, London had a bunch of corner stores. London reminded me of New York with the corner stores, but when I went in them, it was all crap. It was all soda, candy, alcohol. It's like that in Colombia. It's like that in Mexico. It's like that here. I would never buy anything out of their corner stores or their supermarkets. I've spent a lot of time in Costa Rica, and I was in Costa Rica like 2006, 2010 to 2011. I was there back and forth to different parts of the country. The supermarkets there, Jamaica, same thing. It's just like Seatown. Okay, the restaurant. I mean, the supermarket around the corner from my parents, Seatown, which is a place I wouldn't go shop. I go food shopping at Whole Foods, right, or the local farmers markets. And in the United States, there's a lot of other things like Sprouts and other local chains that or that may be in your city that are similar to Whole Foods that get good quality foods, which is different than going shopping at Pathmark or Piggly Wiggly or, you know what I'm saying? So, so, but at least in the United States, like you're seeing, like it's better. If you look at my other videos, I talk about the fats that are good to cook with, right? So, grass-fed butter, pasture lard, pastured duck fat. Okay, duck fat is very good fat to cook with. Ghee, all right, ghee is a clarified butter, where the proteins in the proteins and the carbohydrates are removed from the milk, and it's just pure butter fat, butyric acid, which is excellent for your gut health and your skin health, right? Yes, Kerrygold butter is great. So we can find all those in America. I can go into the supermarket and they got tallow, they got duck fat. Even in the regular, like in Chicago, there's a chain called Jewel, which is also like a regular supermarket that's akin to Seatown. The regular supermarkets that people shop at, like Walmart. I would never go food shopping at Walmart, but that's another one. But a lot of these places are starting to now carry these fats, or they're carrying coconut oil, um, and they're carrying Kerrygold butter. Okay, they may not be all the way there, but there's certain things that you can find. When I'm in all these other countries and I go in the supermarket and I go, because every single country I go to, every city I go to, I go in several supermarkets and I look and see what they have. And in America, for example, I have never seen anybody drink powdered milk. Okay. I, in my life, have never witnessed any American pull out a bag of powdered milk and start making milk. Okay. If you follow me, you know I talk a lot about raw milk. Raw milk is a superfood. And access to raw milk is hard all around the world. There are some European countries who are big on the raw milk, um, and African countries, you know, like the Maasai, people who might be not be colonized yet, but a lot of Africans also drink milk. Um, but what I'm seeing is these Caribbean countries. When I've seen it in Costa Rica, I've seen it here. I don't know, a lot of places I've been to in the Caribbean. I can't go to in South America where people are consuming powdered milk. Powdered milk is really bad for you. Like homogenized and pasteurized milk is bad. Okay, from the commercial food industry, that's bad. It's coming from sick cows, cows that are being fed a shitty diet, cows that are being injected up with hormones, antibiotics. Then they're taking the milk and they're heating at a super high temperature, and so it's destroying the proteins, the enzymes, and making it into a toxic food. Um, but sorry, I was reading something somebody wrote. But when you have raw milk from cows that are outside, moving around, getting sunlight, eating grass, okay, the nutritional makeup of their milk is totally different. They're not sickly, so you don't have to be giving them antibiotics and hormones. And the milk is now not treated at a high temperature, okay, to pasteurize it, kill all the bacteria, which we need that good bacteria for our gut microbiome, for our digestion, for our immune system. And it's destroying the vitamin D and the vitamin A. It's destroying the enzymes, right? Um, and a lot of these Spanish speaking countries, and not just Spanish speaking, also the Caribbean period, there's a lot of ultra pasteurized milk. Like if it's not powdered milk, it's ultra pasteurized. Now, the more you pasteurize it, the worse it is. When you see something that says ultra pasteurized, like in Mexico, and even when I was in Africa, when I was in Senegal, selling bags of milk on the shelf. That's not even in the cold section. In America, we don't buy warm bags of milk off of the regular shelf. Okay. At least our milk is refrigerated. Okay. So our regular milk is not the best. It's still coming from the commercial food industry. It's still homogenized and pasteurized. But it's not ultra pasteurized to the point where it is so destroyed that you could just put it on a shelf and it's not even being kept cold. Okay? That's really bad. I've never seen that in America. Hot milk on the shelves, and then powdered milk. Powdered milk is the worst milk that you could consume, because when people talk about good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, there's no such thing as bad cholesterol unless it's oxidized cholesterol. Oxidized cholesterol happens when milk is made into powder It's made into a powder. So when you're consuming protein powders, when you consume low fat or non fat milk, they use powdered milk to make that. Okay. Or you're just buying powdered milk. It's just bad. That's why you always want to have full fat dairy. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be drinking that low fat, non fat stuff. It's powdered milk. And that is really bad for you. Extremely bad. Okay. And I don't see that in America. Now, access to raw milk is different from state to state. I did a video on that a few years ago, and that has changed. I've been drinking raw milk. This is 2023. I've probably been drinking it since 2004. Okay. I probably started drinking raw milk in 2004. So it's almost been 20 years. And I've drank it, and the access to the United States has increased. But still, it's not, some states it's harder. Can't get raw milk in Canada. Okay. Canadians have to drive to the U.S. to get raw milk, but we can get raw milk in the U.S. I live in Chicago. I get it from an Amish market that's run by Ukrainians. In New York, I get it from a Muslim family that gets us not just milk, not just milk, but meats and broths and bones and stuff from the eggs, okay, from local farms in New York State, and they deliver it to me. And I've been probably ordering from them for almost 20 years now. In California, it's legal to sell in the supermarket. I get it at Sprouts, I think. You know, it's legal to sell in the supermarket in Connecticut. It's all over Connecticut. And when I lived in Atlanta, I got it from the farmers market. When I lived in, also I've gotten it from a farmers market in Fort Lauderdale. Um, so I'm just saying, like I can keep thinking. There's some states that where it seems especially hard, but it's the same thing like with cannabis. Access to raw milk has gotten a lot better in the United States, and it's a lot better than a lot of countries, especially in any country in the Caribbean. Only time I've ever had raw milk in this hemisphere is when I was in Costa Rica and I was staying on a farm. I had to actually stay on a farm, okay, to get raw milk. So, oh, more comments. So Ellen, father, lived to be 99 and passed, I think she said 99, and he passed away a few days ago. And she said he had all his teeth and good eyesight and his mind was right. Now she says that he swore by milk. Okay? He swore by milk. So all these people, so now you got younger people, okay, who look sickly as hell. Because a lot of the younger generation looks sickly and is not as healthy as they should be. Even myself, wearing glasses. You know what I'm saying? Who's giving birth to 13 babies now? Who's doing that? Women used to be 13 babies like it was nothing. Okay. So the people who had all that about them, what did they eat? How do we think? And we consistently see the same thing: eggs, bacon, milk, liver, broth, stuff like that. So, and you see the same thing all around the world. People ate what was around them. People who were close to the sea ate a lot of seafood. People who were more inland did what they could to get some things from the sea, but they ate a lot of organ meat. Okay, so was everybody on the planet just dumb? Did people now figure out something that people for thousands of years didn't know? Who live longer and stronger than us? When they tell us that we're living longer now than we ever have before, that's a lie. Okay, the truth is we're sicker than we ever been since we've been on this planet. And these kids now are the sickest group of kids there's ever been that existed since we've been on this planet. And they're the first generation of kids that's not expected to live as long as their parents. Okay? That's how bad it is. So, this is why I'm telling you I believe in traditional foods. Now, I know this. Now with that being said, they do drink powdered milk and ultra pasteurized milk in Mexico and Dominican Republic and everywhere I've been in the Caribbean. Okay? I look at videos online where, a Haitian might be making, I don't know if people make crema or people make coquito, or they use a lot of condensed milk and just, I don't know. I don't even really know what condensed milk is, to tell you the truth. Like, I just think it's something that's really processed. And the only person I've ever seen, like my grandmother, she used to use condensed milk, and my dad, and they're from Florida, so it's still like a Spanish colony. You know what I'm saying? Whereas my mom's family never used condensed milk. I don't think there's just, but I'll see people use ingredients, that are really bad. Okay, or consuming all the soda or whatever. But then at the same time, like when I'm in Mexico, Those are some well-behaved kids in Mexico. The kids are never acting up. They're never giving their parents a problem. Mexican women be having like at least 3 kids plus. They never look stressed out. If they are, they don't show it because they be looking like they fine all the time. And the kids are so well behaved. You'll see a Mexican mom outside hustling, and the kids are just sitting there and just being well behaved. Same thing in Cuba. The 5 times I've been to Cuba, I never saw anybody yelling at a kid or telling them to stop doing something, or kids fighting with each other, or oh, he was making fun of me and they crying. None of that. The kids were all healthy. You know what I'm saying? Um, so to me, I'm like, okay, but they might drink all the soda in Mexico and have the ultra pasteurized milk. So why do these kids still look healthy and these women are very fertile? Well, maybe it's because Mexicans also, just like a lot of Africans, like my Nigerian friends, the real Nigerians. Okay, I don't mean to be offensive when I say the real Nigerians. I don't mean to be offensive because I'm not Nigerian to say who's a real Nigerian, right? So let me just check myself and just say that's not what I meant. What I mean when I say the real Nigerians, I mean the Nigerians that eat their traditional foods, okay? That eating things that a lot of Americans and Americanized people wouldn't eat, okay? Like eating a stew with a whole goat head in it, with the whole head, the teeth, the whole head, the brain, the skull, eating all that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that the Nigerians that eat that, a lot of them still be like they'll eat that, but then they'll also be having like putting chemical creamer in their coffee, um, or eating I don't know eating other things I see that's like very processed. So they're putting MSG powder in their stew. They're making a stew with a goat head in it, which is good for you. But then are you putting some type of powder in it that has MSG or something, right? So I see them mix their traditional foods, or they're cooking their traditional foods in canola oil. You know what I'm saying? So so sometimes I feel like the fact that they still eat a lot of their traditional foods, and especially the organ meats, which is super nutrient dense, that is sparing them a bit with the bad stuff. But how long that's going to last, we'll see. But if you look at the work of Weston A. Price, he shows that when people started getting roads, when they started making roads, that is when the processed foods came in. So basically, all over the world, okay, Africa, all over the Caribbean, South America. Uh, I haven't been to Asia, and I've been to some European countries. It's not necessarily as bad, but it can be because, like I told you, London, super processed food. You couldn't, I could not find real juice in London. Everything was like from concentrate or these chemicals. And London that was the place where I felt like I was in processed food hell. And look at British people. Don't they look terrible? I mean, not the black British people, not the Africans and the Jamaican, but the white British people, they look terrible. And that's how people look, my throat, how people look for generations says a lot. And this is why I'm saying I pay attention to how Dominicans look and how Haitians look and the foods that they're eating. It's not just about looks, it's also about what can you do. And when I say looks, I'm not just talking about, oh, you're beautiful. I mean, like, I noticed in Dominican Republic, I didn't really see anybody wearing glasses. The only people I saw wearing glasses was a few old people that I think were looking at reading glasses. I'm like the only one walking around with glasses. I don't know if they all just got eye surgery or have contacts, which I don't think that's what it is. I think that a lot of them just have good eyesight. Okay. And I don't know everything that they're eating because I'm eating at the restaurants. And of course, the restaurants aren't going to always give you everything that people really eat at home. Okay. But I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that I saw on the menu in Santo Domingo. And to anybody who knows about Dominican foods, because I do know I have some friends, one of my really good friends, he's like an expert when it comes to rhythms, drums, and foods. Okay. He's Dominican, but he also be talking about, he knows Haiti, he knows other countries too. So if there's anybody like that, or you're just Dominican and you know about some traditional foods, please share them, okay? Because I'm all about that. I'm all about that. Oh yeah. So Ellen chimes in again. Her grandfather. How old? I know you said you sent me a picture of him, but how old did you say he was? 99. He didn't wear glasses. Had all his teeth. Had all his mind about him. Unlike Unlike Sabi, I'm not going to call him Dr. Sabi. He was 98. Yeah. I'm not going to call him Dr. Sabi because sometimes we have to observe the obvious. And so called Dr. Sabi, okay, he looks, from the very first time I ever found out about him, which might have been like 20 years ago or something, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around there, he always looked frail. He always looked like he was going to pass out. He looked like he wouldn't had no strength. He had terrible looking skin. Okay, terrible looking skin. A healthy person has a glow to their skin. Their skin looks healthy. When your skin looks dried out and drab, besides the fact that he never said anything that made any damn sense, but he himself looked weak. And then he died like 83. That's not that old. Okay, there's a lot. And oh, people are like, oh, they killed him in the hospital. No, he didn't. He died from pneumonia. You know who gets pneumonia? People with seriously compromised immune systems. Seriously. And you know what? I can tell you straight up, if somebody has pneumonia, and if they're dying from pneumonia, I can tell you straight up, they are severely vitamin D deficient. Severely. Vitamin D plays a huge, 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 huge role in preventing upper respiratory tract infections. Period, point blank. Anybody who's getting a bunch of um, upper respiratory tract infections and colds and stuff, you're very vitamin D deficient. Your grandfather died in his sleep. At night, peacefully in his sleep, and 96, he said, yeah, peacefully in his sleep. See, and I'm sure at this point, your 96-year-old grandfather, because people who live to be that old, my grandmother, she died at 95 a few years ago. She was from Florida, and my grandmother didn't have any health problems, but she didn't have all her teeth, and I think her eyesight was okay. She used reading glasses, but she didn't have any chronic illnesses. She didn't have any dementia or nothing like that. My grandmother just didn't walk anywhere ever. And so one day she was having a circulation problem and they had to amputate her leg, but she wasn't diabetic. And once they amputated her leg, her spirit left her body. Oh, sorry, 98. Sorry. Yes, I said 98. Sorry. He lived to be 98, not 96. Yeah, well, my grandmother, when they cut her leg off, she just wasn't happy. My grandmother was miserable. And it was like, she died a year later. And I think she has died from what, what Spanish people call susto. Okay? Susto. Susto is trauma. Okay? Trauma that affects your spirit. And that can sometimes make people's spirit just be out. And so that's why my grandmother would live longer. But the thing is a lot of people who live that long, like they might have grown up eating traditional foods, but by this point in life, a lot of times they were drinking Kool-Aid or drinking soda, or some of that stuff came into their world. The modern processed stuff has come into the world. But because they had a strong foundation and so many years of eating traditional foods, and maybe even if, like I said, with my Nigerian friends and the Mexicans, who even if the sodas and the processed stuff came into their diet, because they still ate a lot of traditional things, like whether it be pig's feet or bat back or fucking liver and heart and fish eyeballs, and if they're still eating those things, it can spare them a lot. And so somebody who died at 98 recently, okay, imagine how long they would have probably lived if they didn't even if they weren't tainted with any of this modern crap. Okay, so when we talk about longevity, nutrition has everything to do with it. And for those of you who don't believe me, you definitely should read the book Nutrition and Physical Detox. If you read no other book, if you just want one book for the rest of your life, even though there's several books that I recommend, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, so that you can see the books that I post. But if you don't read any other book in life, read Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay, so when I was in Santo Domingo, I didn't get to go into a lot of supermarkets. I went into one little one, and it was all processed stuff, all canned stuff, a whole bunch of canola oil, like nothing good that I would buy out of that store. But in Santo Domingo, oh, okay, hold on, wait, hold on, let me find my notes. Because there was this restaurant, when I was looking on Uber Eats. Uber Eats is a good way to see what's around you, because of course, like with every country, they have foods that they're going to make to try to please the tourists. So you have a lot of food that they serve that's like, they're trying to please people from other countries. And then you have their traditional stuff, which is one reason why I like Chicago a lot for food, because Chicago, I don't care what culture it is, Mexican, Haitian, American. You're gonna see a lot of traditional foods in Chicago menus, more so than you'll see at most places. Um, but hold on, I'm trying to find. I took some notes, and I'm like, where are these notes? Sorry, I should have found them. I took some notes about some of these foods because there was one of the things with Spanish speaking countries. Okay, they'll be big on caldos. Okay, caldos is like stock. Okay, like a meat and bone stock, and they make it from different animals. Every culture made broth or stock, either with just the bones or the bones in the meat. Dominicans, sancocho. Okay, sancocho is a Dominican soup that is brothy and bony. Okay, so it's like a meat broth soup stew that is, and we want to consume the broth because it's very important for our immune system and our gut. Hopefully, you can hear me over this loud rain. Um, Actually, a little chilly out here right now, but I'm trying to find my notes. So you see that a lot in Spanish-speaking countries, which is if someone's gonna come to, if someone's gonna go to Colombia, or I didn't see it a lot when I was in Cuba. Actually, I didn't see a lot of caldos. Now, when I was in Cuba, I was only in Havana and Santiago de Cuba. So maybe in other parts of Cuba, because it's a big island, you see it more. If you know, if you're Cuban and you've been to other parts of the island, let me know. If caldos is big in your in Cuba, because I don't, even when I'm in Cuban restaurants, I don't see that. But every culture did have some type of history of making broth or stock. But in like Colombia and Dominican Republic, for sure, and Dominicans have some culture. Okay, and where are these notes? Okay, here it is. Okay, so it was this place called El Mundo del Caldo, okay, which is the world of caldo, the world of stock, the world of broth, okay. That was the name of the place. Oh, now this computer, now this is about to die too. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hurry this video up and make a part two. I know I've been talking for a long time. There's so much to say. Um, I've been talking about food this whole time. There's so much more. I want to talk about sexuality. I want to talk about other aspects. So I'm gonna have to do a part two of this video because I know I've been talking to you guys for a long time. So oh yeah, so on this in Santo Domingo, okay, and you could order this on Uber Eats, okay. So this is the thing about access, okay. You could just get it delivered right to you. So on this menu, they had a soup that was one that was a base de nervios de pate de vaca, okay, which is that one is basically it's made from a base of the nerves of a cow foot, okay, not a cow foot, the nerves of a cow foot. That's what that is. Then then it said sancocho y sancocho. Now I know about sancocho, but I never heard of salcocho, and I'm looking it up. Like, what's the difference between salcocho with an L and sancocho with an N? I couldn't find the difference. It looked like online it was saying it was the same thing. So if somebody knows, let me know, because on the menu it says salcocho y sancocho, and I've never seen that before. But I know sancocho, okay. And then they had salcocho de habichuelas, right, which is salcocho with beans, made from beans. Okay, habichuelas are usually the red beans. Con costillo, pechuga de pollo y chorizo. So that's this sancocho, a red bean sancocho that is made with ribs, chicken breast, and sausage. Okay, I think that's what costillo is. I think it's ribs, but I know that pechuga de pollo is chicken breast y chorizo, sausage, right? Sopa de pescado, there's fish soup. Patica de cerdo, which is pig's foot. Okay, pig's foot soup. Now, Black Americans eat pig's feet, and a lot of Black Americans think, "Oh, you eat pig's feet? That's slave food," which is so. Yeah, they wanted the slaves to be strong. Okay, they didn't want the slaves to be weak, but Dominicans eat pig's feet. Other people eat pig's feet. Okay, if you're from a country that eats pig feet, I bet you Puerto Ricans eat it. I'm just guessing because Puerto Ricans eat a lot of pork. But if you're from a country that eats pig feet, let me know. Now, I don't eat it. I've never eaten it, but that food will make you live to 100 though. Okay. Okay. So they had pig's foot soup. Then they had a cow's tail. stew at a Mundo de Caldo, cow's tail stew. Okay, never seen that before. And then mondongo, which is tripe. And I didn't get to look at everything else in the menu because I've been busy. But those are some of the things that I wrote down that was on that menu. Okay, and that was straight Dominican. So you got pig's foot soup, you got the nerves from the cow foot, pig's feet, cow tail. Okay, you see how much deeper we can go. If you're from the DR, tell me. Um, Now I'm gonna sum this up because it's raining so hard and my computer is dying. I'm sure you can hear this rain. This is the rainy season. Um, I will say that Santo Domingo is walkable. This area is walkable for what Latin America considers walkable. Most Americans, especially if you're not an in shape American, might have a problem walking around here because a lot of times you're walking on roads where there's very, like, you have to negotiate with the cars and the motorcycles because the sidewalk is not always there for you. But Samana, like Las Arenas, where I'm at, you have to walk up a lot of hills. Okay, so I have to walk up like a steep hill and then 1,000 stairs to get to where I'm at right now up here. And when I'm moving around the city, when I'm moving around this area, it's all walking. There's no Uber and there's taxis, but not really. So either people are walking, driving, or they are on these motorbikes a lot. But everybody here looks very, everybody here looks very fit and healthy and just good looking. Everybody's in a good mood. Okay, I love Dominican people. I just want to say that I'm going to get more into it on my other page, and I might do it today. It's just so dark right now. I love to record videos when it's sunny, but goodness, like it's dark and rainy today. Um, Someone asked me about food in Trinidad. You know what? I don't know enough about food in Trinidad. I actually want to go to Trinidad soon, like within the next year. I want to go to Trinidad. That's on my list. I've always wanted to go there. And I don't know anything about Trinidadian food past roti. Okay, to be honest. Um, so, but when I find out some things, I'll definitely let you know. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Toronto this summer because that's another thing. Cannabis. Cannabis is very illegal in the Dominican Republic. Okay, so but it is also very widely smoked and consumed. Another thing about the United States, there are some countries, and I'll do a video on which countries have legal weed, and you can even look it up on YouTube, and it varies. Like there are countries who decriminalize it and countries where it's legal, and even with that, the laws vary about how you're allowed to do things, where you're allowed to do it, how much you can have on you. It varies from that. And same in the United States, how the laws vary from state to state, and we still have parts of the U.S. where it's completely illegal, like Indiana. Okay, I'm in Chicago, Indiana, completely illegal, but Chicago got recreational and medicinal, right? And everybody should have a medical card. Okay, you don't have to be a weed smoker. You should have a medical card. Okay, and I'll do a video on that too. Let me write this down. But anyhow, cannabis. I told you I'm working on my master's degree right now in medical cannabis science. There's so many applications, okay, for a variety of health issues. And me myself, I don't take pharmaceuticals. I do not take. If I have a headache, I'll take some CBD oil, get rid of my headache. I don't take Advil. Okay. If I want to prevent an infection, I would use a tincture or an oil. If I want to get rid of pain, I'll use a cannabis oil. Okay. I'll ingest it or I'll rub it on my body. Okay. If I have body pain, if I have nerve pain, I'm ingest it. If I'm on my cycle and my uterus feels like, you know, it's swollen because that's what happens and it's uncomfortable, I smoke. Okay. That's the one thing that makes me feel comfortable. Okay. And I had a cycle recently. Usually I don't have terrible cramps. It's uncomfortable, but it's not terrible. But I had a cycle recently where smoking wasn't really helping me. I just felt really uncomfortable. I wasn't in pain. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. So when smoking wasn't helping me, I went to the next level put the oil in my tea, drank it. I was good. I didn't have to consume it again. It wasn't like I had to keep drinking the oil. The one time, chilled that shit out. Okay. Um, so the fact that it's very much illegal here, right? But where it's legal in Puerto Rico now, medicinal weed, there's dispensaries. Um, you eat a nice fatty steak on your cycle. That's excellent, Ellen. You're doing a great job. And I know you're raising healthy kids. Um, Ribeyes, very smart. Yes, Ellen. You're gonna live to be 98, just like your grandfather. Keep it going. Um, I tell everybody, no matter where you're from in the world, if you have anybody in your family, that has lived to be 95 plus, they were healthy, like Ellen's grandfather, who I've been talking about in this video. Really think, what did they eat? Like, what did they really eat for real? And do those things, okay? Get the best quality. Um, so talking about access, not having access to medicinal cannabis is a count against Dominican Republic when it comes to access. People can get online and talk about how cheap the healthcare is. Okay, but how do you not end up in the hospital? How do you not end up having to take these pharmaceuticals? Oh, the prescription drugs are cheaper here. I'm not trying to take prescription drugs. How about that? But you don't have another option because this is not legal. But you know what it is? Tobacco. Tobacco is also a medicine. I've done a video about that. And even I don't smoke tobacco. I just roll my weed in a tobacco leaf. That's it. That's all. I don't smoke hookah. Okay. I don't smoke cigarettes. Oh, look. This is one of my books. No, I don't feel forgetful on cannabis. Do you see how much I talk? I've been talking for an hour and 17 minutes, and I could talk for another 2 hours. um, any herbs for oral health or bone strength? CBD oil is good for both of those things. Yeah, what the fuck is hookah anyway? Exactly. It's some type of flavored crap. I would never smoke that. There's people who don't smoke weed, but then they're smoking hookah. Like, no. So, but tobacco, this book is Tobacco, an exploration of its nature through the prism of homeopathy. Okay. Tobacco was a medicinal herb to Native Americans. That's why every time you get a tobacco shop, you see an Indian in front of it. Why do we see that? And let's not lie on the indigenous people of the Americas that they were all stupid or something. Why did they have tobacco? Why did they revere it so much? Okay. Cuba and the Dominican Republic worship tobacco.